So what we now need to do is associate the Java development kit that we installed in a previous video with Intellij. And the reason we're doing that is so that Intellij can run our Java programs that we're going to create in this course. So I'm going to click on Configure, click on Project Defaults, click on Project Structure. Now that'll bring us, it should bring us to the Project SDK screen. If you find that you've clicked on one of these other options, just make sure you click on Project up here in the top left hand corner. Now note at the moment how it says no SDK. So what that means is that we haven't associated the Java development kit yet. So what we need to do is click on New. We need to specify JDK by clicking it. Then we need to navigate to the folder where the JDK was installed. Now it's usually going to be found in Program Files or Program Files x86. So make sure you do check both of them, because you can see in this case I've got Program Files x86 and I can go into Java and have a look by expanding that. And I've got a JDK 1.7. However, that's an old version. If you recall, we downloaded and installed JDK 1.8. So in that case, for me, that would be the wrong file. So I need to go back into Program Files, Java. Notice in this case now I've got JDK 1.8. So I'm going to select that folder. The other important thing here is to make sure you don't select JRE. Instead, you click on JDK. And just a final note that your program download may be in Program Files x86. As I showed you earlier, there is a Java folder, but in my case, it's in the Program Files Java folder, subfolder. So make sure you check both if you can't see your JDK that's been installed. In this case, I'm just selecting that folder and I'm going to click on OK. Now you can see what's happened now at the top of the screen. We've now got a setting there, and as far as Intellij is concerned, it now has the Java JDK ready for us to use. One last thing we want to do now before we move on is click on this project language level. Now for some reason my drop down list isn't showing properly, but if I click it, it does show it. And we want to make sure that that's set. Normally you'd click on lambdas, type annotations, etc. But notice how here under SDK default, it's actually got 8 selected anyway. So I don't need to change anything because that was the default. That's a relatively new feature of Intellij, which specifies and uses the current SDK that we've installed. So generally you shouldn't have to change. You will find in this course I make mention of making sure that you select version 8. But so you can either do that by clicking on 8, or alternatively just make sure SDK default is selected like you can see there, but also that you can clearly see that 8 is selected there. So in this case that's OK, so I'm going to click on OK. So the final configuration we need to do now is to go back into Configure and click on Settings. And what we want to do is come down here to Editor and Appearance. We want to click on Show Line Numbers. And that will show lower numbers to the left hand side when we're editing, making things a little bit easier to see, particularly if you need to share your code with someone in the future in the questions and answers section of the course. So you can click on Apply to that. Then the last thing we want to do is come back up here to the search menu at the top. I'm going to search for import. And that should bring us up this option to auto import. And I suggest you also select optimized imports on the fly and click on add unambiguous imports on the fly as well, and click on apply and click on OK. At this point we're actually done now with the configuration and setup of Intellij, and we're ready to start programming. So let's start working on that in the next video.